Welcome back. In its bid to speed up the power sector reform, the federal government has inaugurated the National Council on Power. The Minister of Power, Professor Chinedu Nebo, who inaugurated the council, explained that reform cannot be driven by government alone. It requires coordination among all the players in the sector, both public and private. And now to our big story. The issue of redrafting the constitution, which almost tore apart the National Conference, has eventually been settled by the body. But that did not come until an initial threat by the North to reject outrightly the draft document put together by the Secretariat of the Conference. And our big story tonight, our correspondent Lanre Lasisi takes us through the road to the consensus reached today.
Indomie instant noodles, tasty nutrition, good for you.
When the National Conference resumed on Monday after a few weeks' break, their focus was to consider the final report of the conference. But that was before disposition by Northern delegates on part of the report.
We, Northern delegates to the conference, wish to assure patriotic Nigerians and all lovers of democracy that we are neither privy to nor are we accessory to the emergence of the controversial new draft Constitution 2014.
This heightened tension among delegates, and many people expected this plenary session to be stormy. But the session commenced with this motion and an amendment.
It is that the Secretariat be mandated to get all the written submissions by delegates and make necessary corrections, hereby providing the final copy of the conference report. To bring this conference to an amicable ending with a spirit of camaraderie and national consensus, that Volume 3 should be retitled to read Draft Resolutions or Proposals to amend the Constitution of the Federal Republic of 1999. So I will amend it.
The motion was approved unanimously.
Those in favor of renaming draft Constitution as the proposed amendment to the 1999 Constitution to say yes, please. Those who are against to say nay. The nays have it.
The ayes have it, sir. The ayes have it.
Okay. The ayes have it. I'm used to know this time.
After the votes and proceedings of the day was adopted, the chairman of the conference announced the end of the conference.
The plenary stands closed.
Thank you.
Until the further notice.
Most of the delegates were obviously pleased with the outcome.
When, as of yesterday, we started hearing all sorts of stories about the draft constitution, today we realize that if that is misleading, then we can call it proposed amendment to the 1999 constitution, and that was widely carried today.
What we were asking for was a mere change in the title, and that is what was adopted. So yesterday, the leadership saw the northern leaders separately and saw the southern leaders separately. We all agreed to it. So we came this morning when it was put to question, we all agreed there was no dissenting voice at all.
So the important thing is not the disagreement, it is how disagreement is settled. And we have proved that Nigerians can resolve their problems very amicably. Like Dr. Professor Making, the of the University of Nigeria said, you make a palaver and a settlement. We make palavers here, we have made settlements here. And Nigeria moves forward for it.
Even though there were speculations that some of the delegates never were not in support of the report. But to have come to a compromise at the end, for me, shows that we really are looking forward to one Nigeria. And we hope that all that we have discussed and deliberated upon during the conference will come to see the light of day.
The president who put together the conference knew the objectives of the conference. So we have no fear that he will begin immediately to implement those he can implement by himself, those that will require acts of the National Assembly to give effect to that constitutional amendment, he will send to them.
Most of the delegates say that the fact that the conference completed its task, despite predictions that delegates won't reach an agreement, is worthy of commendation. They believe that the conference report will transform Nigeria if it is implemented. For the big story, Lanre Lasese, Channels Television News.
Indomie instant noodles, tasty nutrition, good for you.
First Bank.
Welcome to Business News. The Bankers Committee has confirmed that Nigeria's macroeconomy is in a good state. The committee shared the details today with the media in Lagos after the 317th meeting of its members. At the briefing, Bank's chief executive officers and executives of the CBN explained that the challenge of micro, small and medium enterprises accessing finance will soon become a thing of the past. The committee also revealed its plans to step up awareness on the biometric registration of bank customers. In the meantime, the Central Bank of Nigeria has reintroduced charges on cash withdrawals from other banks' automated teller machines almost 2 years after it was cancelled. The Apex Bank says from the 1st of September, bank customers will have to pay 65 naira for this transaction. The fee will cover the remuneration of the switches, ATM monitoring and fit notes processing by the banks. The regulator explained that the charge would become effective after the fourth cash withdrawal made on other banks' ATM, which means the first 3 withdrawals on other banks' ATMs within the month are free. The CBN had in December 2012 cancelled the 100 naira ATM charge on customers who used other banks' ATMs. In the meantime, the naira weakened to 162 naira 34 kobo to the dollar at the interbank forex market today as dollar sales by energy companies thin out. Traders say some importers are taking advantage of a recent rally in the local currency to bring forward their obligations. They expect the naira to weaken against the greenback next week as global demand for hard currencies increase while supply of dollars in the West African country drops. Now, the federal government sold 100 billion naira at its last auction for the month at higher yields from last month's auction. According to the Debt Management Office, the bills had maturities ranging between 3 and 20 years. 15 billion naira of the 3-year debt notes were sold at 11.12%. 50 billion naira of the 10-year debt was sold at 12.22%, while a total of 35 billion naira of the 20-year notes sold at 12.38%. All the debt notes were openings of previous issues, while total demand fell to 174.01 billion naira as against 263.91 billion naira recorded last month. The Nigerian equities market finished south today as key indicators recorded a marginal drop of 0.01%. Bisi Adebayo has a summary of the day's transactions.
Hello and welcome to the Stock Market Report. Trading activities on the floor of the Nigerian Stock Exchange ended flat as the all-share index finished at 41,750.41 with a marginal drop of 0.01%. Market capitalization closed at 14.19 trillion naira. Market breadth was negative as there were 18 gainers to 30 losers. On the laggards list, corn oil took the lead with a 5 naira 26 kobo drop from its share price. Tuesday's top 3 price gainers were Dangote Cement, Mobil, and Guinness Nigeria PLC. Unity Bank, Transcorp, and Diamond Bank were the major volume drivers for this session. When the closing bell rang, over 200 million shares had been traded in 4,785 deals and valued at 2.24 billion naira. And that ends the stock market reports. I am BC Adebayo.
Thank you so much, Bissy. Let's end business news tonight with a quick check on some major markets we track here on Business News. And Amarachi will be back with the rest of the news at 10.
Still ahead of the news at 10, Nigeria rises to the 33rd position in the monthly ranking of football nations released by FIFA. That's in sports news. Please join us again.